The film starts with Arkave, the chief executive officer of a well-known Indonesian toy company, arriving home late at night. As he is on the verge of entering the front door, a terrifying growl emanates from upstairs. Arka hurries into the room and swiftly makes his way to where his wife is expected to be resting. He is taken aback to discover the area in disarray, with a path of blood guiding him towards an open window. Feeling fearful, he hurries to the window and witnesses a terrifying scene. His wife, named Andini, appears to be under the control of a malevolent entity as her body hovers above the ground. Feeling like he couldn't do anything on his own, Arka reaches out to highly respected psychics in Indonesia, Laras and Raymond. He explains the seriousness of the situation, and they immediately offer their assistance. As they head to the Vey household, Raymond discloses that Andini had been overtaken by a malevolent entity 3 days prior. She had been experiencing symptoms like coughing up blood and feeling unwell. However, Andini's condition took a turn for the worse a few hours ago, as her appearance began to transform into a horrifying spectacle with a bloody jaw and eerie blue eyes. Shortly after, the two clairvoyants reach the Vey residence and are promptly led to the room where Andini is confined. Prior to entering, Laras cautions everyone to stay clear of the room unless they are summoned out. The narrative then transitions to a year later when Andini and Arka have both departed. Their sole offspring, Vanya, now resides with her uncle Aden and his caring wife, Mayra. After his brother passed away, Aden has taken over as the exclusive owner of Cave Industries. Despite their efforts, the couple struggles to provide for the young girl who clearly longs for her mother. On her birthday, they eagerly greet her with a shower of presents as soon as she arrives home. Aden presents her with the newest model of the iPad, while Mayra gives her a personalized dress. Despite Mayra's thoughtful gesture, the girl chooses the iPad and retreats to her room, causing Mayra distress. To shift the focus, Aden introduces a special edition doll named Sabrina from Cave Industries. It is later disclosed that the couple had tragically lost their daughter, Kayla, to cancer some years back. The young kid adored interacting with Sabrina so much that Aden made a decision to create a new version of the toy in her honor. His aim is for the doll to bring Mayra and Vanya closer together. The next school day, Vanya and her peers huddle around Ditho, the class jester, at lunchtime. Ditho has brought a board game called Charlie Charlie, which he uses to connect with the spirit of his departed grandmother. Just as lunchtime is about to end, Vanya requests Ditho if she could borrow the game for a couple of days. Ditho consents and also informs her about the Charlie Charlie application that can sense the existence of spirits. However, he cautions her to offer prayers once she finishes using the board, as the prayer helps the spirit return to its peaceful place. Later that evening, Vanya is in her room and manages to start the game. Subsequently, she utilizes the app on her iPad to locate her mother's spirit in standard mode. It guides her down to the basement, where the darkness prevails due to a loss of power. Unexpectedly, a figure resembling a human appears on the screen, catching Vanya's attention as she moves closer with caution. However, it turns out to be Mayra, who has come to activate the backup generator. Upon learning about the game, Mayra empathizes with the young girl's situation. Consequently, she escorts her back to the bedroom and presents her with the Sabrina doll. During their discussion, it becomes apparent that Mayra's deceased daughter found comfort in cuddling with the doll when she was upset. Mayra is now optimistic that the same doll will bring solace to her niece, Sabrina. That evening, Vanya falls asleep holding the doll, but overlooks uttering a prayer that would enable her mother's spirit to return to her world. Consequently, as the girl sleeps, the doll's eyes start to shift. The next morning, a remarkable positive change is noticeable in everyone's circumstances. Aiden's toy company enjoys a strong track record of profitable years, while Vanya starts the day in high spirits. She descends from her room carrying Sabrina and dressed in a custom-made outfit from her aunt. Before heading to school, she graciously kisses her aunt's hand and expresses gratitude for the thoughtful gifts. Later that day, Mayra works from her home office, sewing and experimenting with fresh design ideas. She is startled by music playing upstairs and decides to investigate Vanya's room. Mayra is surprised to discover Sabrina seated on a chair, given that she had been downstairs just a short while ago. Feeling unsettled, Mayra gently pushes the chair, shuts the windows, and silences the music in the room. However, upon turning back, she is startled to see the doll staring directly at her. Startled by this eerie sight, she hears strange sounds coming from the hallway and quickly exits through the door. The maid cleaning the hallway brought relief to Mayra, who suspects that it was the maid who had previously moved the doll. Later that night, Vanya decides to use the Charlie Charlie app in secret once more. She quickly senses a spirit in close proximity, only to realize with disappointment that it is simply a mannequin. As she exits the room, a frightening hand suddenly appears from the cabinet and pulls her inside, causing her to scream in terror. Aiden quickly comes to her aid and opens the cabinet, only to discover that Vanya is the only one inside. Still visibly shaken, the young girl describes being grabbed and trapped inside the cabinet. However, Aiden believes that using the iPad constantly is leading her to experience imaginary situations. As a result, he advises her to reduce screen time and accompanies her downstairs for dinner. Later, while everyone is asleep, Vanya secretly enters her uncle's room and takes the iPad. She resumes using the app, which quickly picks up on a spiritual presence in the vicinity. Vanya is taken aback when she discovers her mother, Andini, on the terrace. Hurrying over to her, she expresses how much she missed her. In a caring gesture, Andini guides Vanya back to the bedroom and encourages her to rest well. She assures Vanya that she will always be by her side. The next morning, Mayra walks into Vanya's room and finds her engaged in a conversation with someone. She initially finds the situation a little strange, but soon realizes that children her age often engage in similar behavior. Without dwelling on it too much, she casually heads downstairs. Unknown to her, the young girl is not talking to herself, but to the spirit of Andini. As time passes and the breakfast cools, Vanya has not yet appeared downstairs. Consequently, Mayra chooses to go and bring her down from her room. While ascending, she spots Sabrina the doll positioned in front of the attic entrance. Feeling a bit unsettled, Mayra decides to overlook it and proceeds to search for her niece in the attic. She unexpectedly comes across what appears to be her father-in-law's will among some papers. To her surprise, Sabrina has mysteriously shifted inside and is silently watching her from the shadows. However, Mayra's attention is diverted by a clattering sound emanating from a stack of boxes close by. As she moves towards the source of the noise, she is unexpectedly greeted by a cheerful Vanya. The young girl joyfully discloses that she was engaged in a game of hide and seek with her mother. When Mayra asks Vanya how she communicates with her mother, Vanya divulges details about the Charlie game and app. Concerned, Mayra promptly turns to her spouse and shares the news with him. Being aware that Vanya is still mourning the loss of her mother, the couple agrees to organize a family trip to help lift her spirits. In the following sequence, the three of them reach a picturesque island close to the city, enjoying precious moments together on the beach. Aiden goes as far as digging a large hole for them to place seashells in. In the meantime, the aunt and her niece engage in a friendly competition to see who can gather the most shells. They combine their buckets in one location before setting off in different directions. However, upon Mayra's return, she discovers that her bucket, which had previously been full of shells, is now completely devoid of them. However, Vanya and her bucket have disappeared suddenly. This causes concern for Mayra, who begins searching desperately for the young girl. Eventually, she locates Vanya some distance away, conversing with an unseen individual. There is no one in proximity to Vanya, leading to confusion for Mayra. When confronted, the little girl discloses that she is speaking to her mother. Mayra attempts to bring Vanya back to reality, but Vanya persists in believing that her mom is present with them at that moment. This leads Mayra to talk to her husband and return to where he was digging a hole. However, Aiden is actually on the opposite side of the beach, enjoying a drink near a hut. As she starts moving towards him, an arm emerges from the sand, seizes her legs, and pulls her into a hole. Before she can comprehend the situation, an invisible force starts filling the hole with dirt, causing her to scream for help loudly. Fortunately, Aiden spots her and rescues her just in time. Frightened, Mayra seeks comfort in her husband's embrace, shedding tears as she recounts being pulled into the hole by someone. Later that evening, she hears a knock at the door and ventures out to investigate. Finding nobody there, she decides to check the nearby gazebo. To her astonishment, she discovers a woman in white attire playing a piano. Mayra is struck speechless upon recognizing the woman as Andini. However, her reaction swiftly shifts when Andini's head turns, displaying a horrifying, distorted face. Upon hearing Mayra's cries, Aiden promptly jumps out of bed and rushes to his wife's aid. He discovers her by herself, trapped in a dressing room close to the gazebo. She has injuries on her arms and face and appears visibly distressed. An anxious Mayra proceeds to describe the situation in detail and leads him to the piano. But they find no one there. Just then, the security TV nearby unexpectedly activates, showing that Andini's presence is nearby. For the couple can fully understand the situation. Andini hoists them up into the air and forcefully brings them down to the ground. Feeling scared and injured, the couple gathers all their energy and rushes towards their room. Upon reaching safety, Mayra swiftly secures the door as Aiden takes Vanya in his arms. They anxiously observe as the door starts to shake from Andini's aggressive pounding. Thankfully, Mayra quickly acts and places a holy necklace on the door handle. This action successfully drives the demon away, resulting in the lights returning. The next day, the couple meets with the renowned psychics Laras and Raymond, who are now a married couple. Mayer recounts Vanya's story and provides a detailed account of recent events. Laras informs them that Vanya's action of summoning a spirit was a serious error, interfering with the deceased and bringing them into the human realm always leads to severe repercussions. Following this, the psychics come to the couple's home for an investigation. Laras proposes starting with the Charlie game to identify if the spirit that was summoned is truly Andini. Following that, she directs Vanya to pose 3 questions that only her mother can respond to. The young girl complies and soon verifies that all the answers are accurate. The psychics then advise her to go upstairs while they engage with her mother. Afterwards, Vanya retreats to her room accompanied by a maid to enjoy coloring in her drawing book. Meanwhile, the psychics make arrangements to return Andini's spirit to the afterlife. However, Andini resists being sent back, prompting them to resort to a more aggressive approach. During their activities downstairs, the lights in Vanya's room unexpectedly extinguish, leading to her being overtaken by the spirit of Andini. After stabbing the maid with a pair of scissors and quickly leaving the room, she proceeds downstairs and stabs Laras in the back of her shoulder. However, before she can cause further harm, the 2 men restrain her. Laras and Raymond then use their expertise to perform an exorcism on the young girl, ultimately restoring her sanity. Nevertheless, the danger persists when they encounter the spirit of Bagai, known as the Devil's Daughter. The house starts trembling, lights flicker, and furniture sways uncontrollably. Amid the chaos, everyone escapes outside, except for Raymond and Aiden, who go back to rescue the unconscious maid and Sabrina. Once outside, Raymond secures the door handles with a potent sacred necklace, putting an end to the frightening ordeal. After words at the medical facility, he explains to the couple that the entity they witnessed earlier was not truly Andini's spirit, but was in fact the Devil's Daughter posing as her. A subsequent scene flashes back to a year ago when the psychics first entered Andini's room and uncovered that Bagai was attempting to fully inhabit Andini's body to dwell among humans. Due to Lara's extraordinary abilities, she managed to expel the demon from her body. However, tragically, both Andini and her husband lost their lives in the process. In the present time, Raymond discloses that Bagai has resurfaced seeking vengeance on Laras. He advises Aiden and his family to relocate temporarily as their home is now inhabited by spirits. The next day, Aiden relocates his family to his father's factory. At the same time, the psychics prepare for a showdown with Bagai. Prior to venturing into the Eerie House, Raymond gives Laras an ancient and potent artifact he found in a distant cave 12 months earlier. Their strategy is to conquer the demon utilizing this weapon. After offering their prayers, the psychics unlock the sealed door, but to their dismay, Bagai is nowhere to be found. At that instant, they realize that the demon had fled prior to Raymond sealing the house, and it is now inhabiting Sabrina the doll. Meanwhile, Aiden discovers that the toy factory is deserted due to a local holiday. He plans to give his family a tour of the facility, but Vanya needs to use the restroom first. Mara accompanies her to the bathroom and waits outside attentively. In that moment, she catches a faint demonic growl coming from the opposite side of the room. She is horrified to see Bagai staring directly at her. Immediately, Mare seizes the young girl and hurries to the sewing room where Aiden is anticipating their arrival. Together, they make a dash for the exit, but Mara is tragically pulled back into the room. This terrifies Aiden to the core, prompting him to direct Vanya to seek assistance while he makes multiple efforts to open the door. Meanwhile, Mara is in agony inside the room as the demon gradually seizes control of her body. The psychics arrive just in time to assist Aiden in breaking open the door. Unfortunately, they are too late, as Mara is already under the demon's possession. Suddenly emerging from the shadows, she swiftly stabs Laras in the stomach. After pushing Raymond into the shelves effortlessly and casually moving Aiden out of the way, Laras seizes the opportunity to halt Bagai's progress by utilizing her sacred necklace. Despite this, the demon cunningly abandons Mara's body and seizes control of Aiden instead. Upon observing this turn of events, Lara seeks refuge in a room, frantically attempting to ensure her own survival, as she recalls memories from her previous life. Remembering when dark forces took away her first husband and child, she experiences intense anger and resolves to protect those dear to her. When Bagai enters the room, she boldly puts the necklace around its neck. Outdoors, Reynard wakes up and swiftly looks for Sabrina the doll. Upon locating it close by, he seizes it and rushes to Laras. The two psychics engage in a confrontation with the demon and successfully restrain it. To deliver the final blow, Reynard covers the demon's body with the doll and pierces it with a knife. This results in the malevolent entity departing Aiden's body and ultimately unveiling its true essence. Nonetheless, Laras anticipates this eventuality as she possesses the potent family heirloom bestowed upon her by Raymond. With a single fatal blow, she pierces Bad Guy's abdomen and slashes its throat. Subsequently, the demon detonates, generating a powerful force that forces Laras and Raymond to collapse onto the floor. Even though they are wounded, they manage to live on as Bad Guy is ultimately expelled from the human realm for eternity. The concluding sequence depicts the aftermath of the entire ordeal. Vanya comes to terms with her mother's passing and welcomes Mayra as a maternal figure. Meanwhile, Laras and Raymond receive a phone call from an individual, urging them to investigate a fresh case, and the movie ends here.